Have you met John, her husband?
Looks like Tarzan.
Have you ever seen Tarzan, the live animated one?
Yeah. No, literally.
I've
Or
seen Tarzan, but it's been a while.
that's it.
But so he's just, he's got a real chiseled.
Yeah.
Chiseled and then long hair. How long is her hair?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Like curly wavy.
I mean, who do you think has better hair, yours or his? Is it a competition? Hey, he's got such good hair.
I think he might win.
Are we rolling, Jake?
Well, welcome to Inside the Tax Hive. My name is Devin Egan, your host, president here at Tax Hive. I got my friend Sean Finnegan here. He is the friend of friends. Yeah, that's your role, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You make friends. Yeah. And then we are fortunate to be in the presence of Lindsey Ivie here. Thank you so much for being on the pod.
From Ivy League, right?
Yeah.
Ivy League, yep.
Ivy League.
Ivy League.
Tell us a little bit about that.
My husband and I we created the business like Sixers.
AKA Tarzan.
Tarzan.
Yeah.
Tarzan. Sells Tarzan. So we started the business like 6 years ago, almost like out of discovering a need for it. So prior to that, we were like early on sales teams and like leadership teams of a lot of startups. And the issue with that, what we ran into is like so many of them hire like their VP of sales too soon or like their VP of partnerships too soon. So they raise all this money, they build a product, they go to market with it, and then it's not ready.
Yeah, they kind of get over their skis a little bit.
Yeah.
And they do what they've just seen other companies. Oh, they have a VP of this. They have a VP of that. Yeah, we just got to do what they do.
Do what they do. And then they're burning your 50 grand or whatever a month and like burning through all their investment and they don't have any sales because their product's not ready. Yeah. So that's where John kind of came to this like, hey, why aren't we fractionalized? Like they don't need us full time. They don't need us at this amount each month, but they do still need us.
Right.
So that's where we created Ivy League.
Yeah.
Launched. And then it's just been kind of fun. Like what I've really loved about it is there's certain things that I never like thought I would be good at that I realized I am good at those things because I've been able to just jump into different things and like help bootstrap a lot of companies, like the event stuff. Like I actually started my career in sales. I was like in retail sales for 5 years, worked at RC Willie's. I was one of those people that was like creeping up on me.
Like if someone's sitting at the couch.
Like, oh, all right, do you have a pulse? I'm gonna just kidding.
Right.
They're 100% commission.
Here comes somebody up the escalator. Got them.
They do really great events too. So I've been to a big chunk of them.
Yeah.
The shooting range ones, everything else. The one at Grand America was amazing.
Yeah.
So John actually, in this one, he had a guitar and he actually sang. He did, so in this event.
He's a singing Tarzan.
He did poetry too.
Yeah, and
yeah.
He checks all the boxes.
He looks like his Headbanger's Ball.
Actually, I have to tell the story.
All right, let's hear it.
When we were dating, one of the things, he like drove me up to this like ranch with horses. And then he bought this dress from the DI, but it looked like it was for a 12-year-old. It was literally for like a 12-year-old. Like I'm like, I couldn't even zip it up in the back.
Yeah.
And then he came down on a horse with like his buttons done like.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm
picturing this right
This
now.
was before he had long hair too.
Okay, all right.
And it was like a romance novel in my DI dress.
Whoa.
And
this was a date.
This was a date.
And
So
he lined all this up.
Did you go like slay a beast and like cook it open?
He should have. Like he could have. Yeah.
Okay, so you're watching. If you want an idea, this is next level because obviously it worked.
Picture. It worked.
It worked.
Got the ring. We have 4 kids in.
Yes.
It worked.
Yeah.
Congrats on the 4 kids.
Yeah.
Ages? What's the range?
We're at 3, 5, 7, and 9.
Okay.
Right now.
What's that like juggling as an entrepreneur and being a mom?
It's challenging. It's hard because like being an entrepreneur, you can like what you're building can consume you if you let it. I feel like there's times in my life where I kind of let it consume me and I let like I was going to every networking event. I was like at everything because I felt like I had to be because I was trying to grow my business. But it wasn't until like last year where I had to close the doors of a company I was helping build where I had time to process things and like prioritize what really matters. And that's where I'm like, I'm never going to put myself in a position where I'm away from my kids that much.
And you have to be certain places, certain time on a regular basis.
And it's just like scaling back. It's like, okay, well, maybe I'll only do this many clients. And then if I do these clients, I don't have to be at everything because it doesn't require that from me. So just being a little more strategic on how I plan things out where I can be there for my kids more.
I've been at meetings where Lindsey will roll in with her kids. Kids are awesome kids, and they're well behaved, and it's also probably cool for them to see, hey, my mom's in here working, getting some business done.
Actually, it's my third. I took her to work with me for the first 6 months of her life.
Wow.
I would just breastfeed her.
Yeah.
Cover myself up in lunch meetings. I'm whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Way cool.
And I'm there's no reason why I wouldn't be able to take her. And she is her mom and those early stages in life. Yeah. And I'm well, I just did it. And then
you just make it work, right?
Yeah, you just make it work. That's why women are so good at problem solving, because it's every single day you're logistics of
multitasking.
Figuring out where to put your kids. Oh, they're out early today. We got to figure out where to put them so I could be over here, and just managing all that.
I can only imagine as a mother. I mean, I know as a dad, I'm also a dad of 4, and kids are a little bit younger, but I can't imagine being in the mom role and doing the business side, right? That's next level amazing. And I think that business teaches you how to occasionally say no. You have to turn off certain things, and you have to prioritize and time block. And how did you figure out the whole time management thing? Was it just a prioritization of hey, my ultimate priority is my family, and then comes my relationship with my husband, and then my business? Where did that all come into line for you?
I don't think I still have it figured out.
Yeah. I thought everything's perfect balance.
No, there's no balance. It's not. It's just you figure out what works for you, and it's just it's still messy, still trying to manage everything. But I think what helped me was kind of scaling back. And then we're okay, that opened up more time in other places.
I've also noticed business just naturally helps you discover you have greater capacity than you originally think. I don't know what the cliche is, but it's hey, if you want something done, give it to the busiest person you know.
That would be Lindsey. Yeah, that's Lindsey right there.
You just manage for a lot of the things I'm working on I have a big event coming up, and I have to do it after the kids are asleep. And honestly, that's when I feel I'm the most energized with ideas.
Because no one's at the office anywhere bugging you, right? So
and I can hyper focus, and I feel I can get more done in that 2 hours than I would in 4 or 5 hours during the day, because there's too many distractions.
I used to travel with Devin, and he had little teeny kids at the time.
Yeah.
And he was such a good dad. After we're done with the event, it was FaceTime with his little girl, Ella, so adorable. And it's just all about that thing, is understanding, hey, you can heap a lot of guilt on yourself saying, hey, I'm not doing great at, even this week I have my daughter, my wife's out of town, and trying to juggle that, and I've had multiple failures. So I'm sweetie, can you go do this? And I'm going to be late. But at the same time, it's you grow in love for them. And then when you are with them, you try to love them deeper and appreciate it more.
Have you seen your kids adopting the entrepreneurial spirit? They see what you guys are doing, and they start
bigger Ivy League now.
Oh my gosh, I have to show you. So we're working on the Failed Fest event. And last night I'm on Canva, and my daughter helped me make some of the graphics. So we did one for John. I'll have to show. It's so fun.
Yeah, I got to see it.
So she was I gave the computer to her and kind of showed her what to do, and she's clicking on things and putting it on the Canva. And they're how can we help? Can we attend? Can we be a part of it? I'm you want to go help sell tickets and market?
Yeah, out at registration, greet people,
go door to door.
Well, and it's fun because it's because I own this event, I'm partnering with Sam Salisbury on it. It's I feel and we're both really about our families, our kids, and prioritizing that.
Right.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'm if I want my kids to go out and
you have full control of what you do.
They can do it,
What is this event? Tell us the title of it again.
Failed Fest.
And what is the vision behind that?
So, I actually was on a really good podcast with Joe Grover.
Yeah.
And at the end of the podcast, he asked me this question, what advice would you give people? And I think this is what stood out to me of what I'd want people to take away from this. Is you may have failed, but you're not a failure. So the idea is I have failed, but I am not a failure.
It's not, that doesn't define you.
No, it doesn't define you. And I think it's separating those two things is your identity isn't in what you built. And I had to do that myself. And it was a dark place I had to get myself out of to separate my identity from a failed startup. And I think there's a lot of people that experience that.
Yeah.
And I just felt there was a need for there to be a format, a conference built around
Yeah.
those topics where people can relate to that and come out of that feeling better, like feeling like they're not alone in their journey to build something, that people have gone through similar experiences, and it's okay. Like, it's a part of life. It's a part of your journey.
Is this the first time that you've hosted it?
This is it. Yeah,
This is it. Okay,
we're
cool.
building it right now.
I mean, if I can imagine,
Yeah.
just from if I were your prospect, small business owner, have had things work and not work,
Yeah.
and the embarrassment and the, kind of shame or whatever, all of those moods and feelings that come with failure, and being able to like go to an event where it's like, hey, this is a failed fest. Like we're going to celebrate.
We're leaning in. We're going to talk about
leaning in.
about the things that don't get talked about in business.
Like gaslighting
Right?
101, winter
Right.
fun. Like working
Yeah.
with narcissists.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
wants to talk about that, but it's a thing. And it's like, people should know the red flags and imposter syndrome. Like, we want to touch on topics that like are real and they're
Yeah.
part of what everyone's feeling or at one point feels in their journey. And just to know that like other, maybe people that you look up to are experiencing that.
Is this all content and an experience that you and Tarzan have curated and built?
It's actually he came up with initially like the name when we were talking about it like 2 years ago. So
Cool.
Brilliant.
If we were at Failed Fest right now,
Yes.
describe it to me. What is it going to look like? It's a stage, it's an atmosphere, it's a networking,
So you're going to have a little bit of everything. So we'll have panels, curated panels. I'm bringing in a lot of e-commerce female founders. They're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. And then we're kind of sprinkling in, instead of like TED Talks, they're failed talks. So like 5 to 8 minutes of like, I've got several people that are going to tell their story of like their failed startup. And we're going to pull in a panel, like, how do you close down a business? Like things that you wouldn't, like, people are openly sharing, but it's because it's like nobody wants to sit or like expose themselves to like, oh, I have to, like, my company, I have to shut down.
right?
But like, who's telling you how to do that?
Well, and I think learning from that moment, it like prepares you even more for the next opportunity. That like, hey, I failed here, and here's kind of, if I can be honest with myself, this is where I misstepped, or this is where I, hired too soon, or I brought on too much overhead. It's like,
What are the lessons?
what did I take away from it, so that in round 2, next time I get up on my feet?
Yeah, like we'll have like one geared around like finance, like, because there's like the tech, the finances, there's different pieces of the business, and like having the conversations in each space that like, what your spreadsheets failed, your the tech, maybe it was like a sales approach gone wrong, like different things like that, where we have like leaders in this space that are talking about that openly.
Fortunately for me, I've never failed on anything.
Oh, that's great. Good for you.
I don't have to.
So we'll have an award ceremony like I've never failed. Or the most epic failure.
I saw you put something out on this initially, and I talked to you about it.
Yeah.
I was like, put me in on this, because
Oh yeah.
what I found is going through my biggest failure in my first business I started, and going through that painful experience, I had certain people around me in the business community where I thought, those people are just always crushed it. Why can't I be like them? They seem to just, no matter what they do, they crush it. And then when I got on the other side of that, and I started becoming more real with those business leaders, and I started saying, hey, this is what I've been going through, they're like, yeah, I've been through a lawsuit too. And I'm like, you have?
They're not telling.
What?
They've got really good PR. So
It wasn't on their LinkedIn profile?
Yeah. And I found
that should be like 5 times lawsuit. 5 times, like,
right?
That's like the new.
It's like a rite of passage to a degree. There's certain things you go through that really make you, and they happen for you in your business, right?
But there's so much. If I've never experienced that, like, I learned so many things from, like, you feel like you got a degree, the degree of failure. Right? Whatever that is.
I'm one of those, like, didn't graduate, just started businesses, and anytime someone's like, oh, hey, so like, how did you go to business school? How did you end up? And I'm like, no, I just have like a master's in experience.
Yeah.
I've just been through a lot. I've figured a lot of stuff out, and it's like,
It works out.
it works out.
Yeah, I didn't graduate either, so kind of went through the same.
All right, well, fist bump on that. How about you, Chania?
I graduated, but I would say
What a loser.
I was very good at cramming.
Oh, right.
Cramming.
I barely made it through so I'm dyslexic and ADHD, so I barely made it through high school. So 5 brothers and 1 sister, so there's 7 siblings growing up. And I never understood it because I think for females, like they don't get diagnosed with ADHD or dyslexia because they just like, we mask it so well.
Yeah, I was going to say it shows up different.
It shows up like we internalize it's like in our heads. It's not as like my son is very, like you can see it, like he's running around. But for me, I would sit and study the same thing for like 4 hours and I barely passed the test. And then my brothers would just like not study.
Yeah.
They retained everything in the classroom and then they would just like be fine. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like I literally thought it was just stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I was like, so I'm like, there's no way I'm going to college because
I'm not like all the others.
I can't do college. Like literally cannot do college. But then I realized like jumping into work and like going through that, I'm like, oh, but I am actually really good at
You're a problem solver and you're builder.
I think differently and I think outside because I had to my whole life. I had to mask and I had to like figure out how to manage without like their traditional route.
Sure. I think one common thread among business owners is like whether you graduated or you dropped out in 8th grade, it's like we all have this, eventually we come across our love of learning.
Yeah.
And this embrace of like, there's a lot out there that I don't know and I can lean into mentors. I can, learn from other people's failures and frame that, put that on in a plaque and on the wall.
Yeah.
How does Failed Fest fit into Ivie League?
So I come on, I've done like fractional consulting with like building out strategic partner channels, building out a lot
very good, powerful e-commerce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also other industries, but e-commerce, like if someone's trying to scale their business, Ivie is perfect for that.
Okay, so I'm trying to scale an e-commerce.
He has his e-commerce. He owns Pickleball USA and he has a pickleball store.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we do e-com and so give our audience, maybe via me, what are like the 5 hacks or the 3 tips?
Yeah, I would say on my expertise, I help more in like the tech side, so like an e-commerce tech versus like your traditional
strategy.
Yeah. So for a lot of them, what's helped is like they're trying to get in front of people like you, right? Like on their and bring them on as customers to use their like warranty software or different things like that.
Okay.
But what's really helped is like it's so crowded, and I then say the same goes for like even in e-commerce. You have to think outside the box, so that one-to-one touch makes a big difference. Like recently, I got. So we know the founder over at Cozy Earth, but he like had a handwritten letter thanking us for like buying a recent purchase. And then it's like, here's the code for your next purchase, but it's very personalized. And I see that more and more like on the e-commerce side, like print, like mailers are working really well. Like we did that with the Jessica Ball, leveraging, like it's hard because like the influencer space is very crowded right now. And actually from what we saw, like there's not as much conversion with influencers. But
it's going down, right?
It's going down. Yeah. So what you're seeing is like TikTok Shop is doing really well. And like so people want, I can even say from like my perspective, when I go on Instagram, like I purposely go around because I get annoyed kind of with the codes, but
so redundant.
But telling a story, like what's better is like showing an experience or a story maybe on TikTok and then people being drawn to your brand that way. I feel like that's like...
It's more grassroots, Phil.
Yeah. People are burnt out. It's just been like 10 plus years of the same old strategy of people like having that shoved down their throats. And now they're looking for like an authentic brand that they can connect to. And I think that goes a long way.
Cool.
Sure.
That's helpful. I like that a lot.
Especially like pickleball, like there's so much storytelling in that.
Oh yeah. You play pickleball?
I have not played in a minute, but
Sean's wicked.
Yeah, I'm with
still smashing.
No.
I don't like it. It's gonna take me a minute.
So you've never played? Never?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you have? Okay.
They always have like the networking.
Probably sandbagging.
Yeah.
Like the networking pickleball events.
Okay.
Tell us, before we finish up, tell us about that. You went through a failure. Tell us about that dark day and how'd you overcome that?
So I ran a company with a few other partners called Sharehouse. So essentially we were an e-commerce community, but on top of that, we built out a tech where you could book a time with an e-commerce expert. But we were a startup. We were like grassroots. Like a lot of it was just building it up, and marketplaces are really hard to like, it takes time, it takes a lot of money.
You got billionaires running the marketplaces out there.
Yeah.
When you say marketplace, you're talking about like a Shopify marketplace or a Google shop, like what?
Yeah, so essentially like on that, it's like we're trying to get a general group to book a time with a specific expert. So we're pulling in like the broad group of like maybe smaller e-commerce founders.
Okay, yeah.
To book times with like maybe more seasoned e-commerce experts.
Got it.
In this space. But that, yeah, just requires a lot of marketing dollars to do that. Just kind of like neighbor.com. Have you heard of the storage, Airbnb, like those type of companies?
Yeah, your garage or
Right.
Yeah.
You have to crack to get, you're
You have
going
to
up
crack
against,
it to get to the masses.
Yeah,
right?
and you have
Which
to
is-
educate, right?
Which is, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of money in education.
Lots of money in education.
Yeah.
But we had to close the doors in December. And that was like really challenging for me because like I put so much time and energy into it. I felt like part of, like I didn't know who I was for a while. Like
Part of your identity.
my identity, yeah. And then I deleted all the social media off my phone. Like I literally disconnected from like everyone for a good like 3 to 4 months. And it just, which was actually really healthy in a lot of ways because I felt like I was able to separate those
like a
things.
clean break.
And then kind of digging a little bit deeper, like doing some inner work or whatever you want to call it, and just trying to figure out like where I want to, moving forward, where I want to prioritize my time and like what I want to do. And kind of bringing me back to realizing like how essential, like my kids need me so much right now. So I can't do that again. I can't like put myself in a situation where I'm dropping them off first thing in the morning and picking them up like around 5:30 every day. So
Yeah.
that was good. It's almost like sometimes you have like a forced, I think God kind of puts like a forced reset.
Yeah. And you look
You don't
back,
understand.
going through it's scary.
Yeah.
And then when you look back, you're like, you see God's hand in it.
Exactly. So I
Right.
think at the time I'm like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
And then I look now, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like full circle, bigger picture, I get it.
Yeah.
But it was hard.
I went through a layoff at AOL. I mean, AOL was like internet bubble. So bubble.
Sorry, I've never heard
I know
of
it's ancient.
AOL.
It's ancient. It's dinosaur.
Do you still have an email?
Yeah,
I
it's
was
Jurassic
born in
Park.
the 80s, I've
Yeah,
heard AOL.
exactly. They used to send discs everywhere. You probably don't remember that either.
Floppy disk?
Yeah, no, it was actual CD-ROM.
Oh, CD-ROM? I thought you were more a floppy disk.
Well, I could not believe how much data you could get on one of those. It was amazing at the time, like 8 megs or something. So I remember our whole department was laid off, and at the time, I remember standing on the corner, just like as a father, I'm like, I have these 2 little princess girls I'm supposed to support, and I failed miserably. It's just like the scariest moment of my life, and then you look back on it, you're like, oh my gosh, it was the best. Like I was spending 70, 80 hours a week. I wouldn't even see my family.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, all these things were not going good for me.
Yeah.
And then you don't know that at the time. It just feels scary because you don't see the future. But then you look back and you're like, okay, that was divinity.
And so you just have to like, let go and let God? Is that what they say?
Yeah.
It's gonna
Right?
let go.
Yeah.
That's good.
Because you don't know what's best for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And you think you get caught up in it, and it's hard to like disconnect from it and like realize like what's really the place to go. So
Yeah.
I feel like this is really good, a really powerful conversation. We have a ton of, female business owners, and us men have a lot to learn from this as well. But I feel like the entrepreneurs that are in our audience, we just held this accelerator event with some of our people earlier this week, and at least half of the audience, female business owners, entrepreneurs. I feel like, I don't know if it was COVID or what, but like something changed in our culture, our society. Like women just kind of like embraced business and have been thriving and succeeding in so many ways. And maybe just speak to them real quickly about how you figured out or how you've kind of landed on this good, healthy balance between, I know you kind of said, hey, you never really figure it out, but like, what would you recommend to somebody who's the older version of you that was like struggling with the work, family, life balance and running your business and making sure you're taking care of your family? What advice do you have?
I think the biggest advice, I know it's so different for everyone. Like some people don't have the flexibility to work part-time. They have to work full-time. But I think with anything, like you can be really smart with your time. And even if you're working like a full day and that's like, that's the job you have, that's great. It's like maybe it's locking up your phone when you get home, right? And like disconnecting, and it's like you're very present with your kids for that time, or you have your little special time with them. And in the morning when you send them off to school or whatever that looks like, it's just like being very mindful of your time.
How do people jump on?
We're live with a ticket, so
Okay.
it's failedfast.com. So you can go on the
Sweet.
website.
There's so many people in business, they come into it thinking, oh, business is great. There's so many highs, but I love the
Yeah.
fact that you're talking about these things, which is like failures is actually the real part of it. And the failure can actually spin you out, or you can just fail forward and learn from it. And hopefully you get better and better, right? Kevin O'Leary says he tries to make new mistakes, not old ones, right? So he focuses on failing forward.
Yeah, these are the building blocks. It's like a little bit of scar tissue, the calluses on your hand.
Yeah.
And,
Good for you.
Yeah,
Rub
it's-
some dirt on it.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I'm grateful for your answer on that last question about putting away your distractions, being present with whatever's in front of you. I thought for a second your answer might be, which has been my solution, is just don't sleep as much.
No, I sleep more.
Yeah,
Or
that's
nap.
great.
Actually, recommendation, take a nap every day.
Wow. Do you do that now?
Oh, power naps. Like
Really?
15-minute power naps. That's
Wow.
fun. Yeah, it will literally change.
There's a lot of cultures it's not in our culture. We're the grinder coach
No.
culture where you don't sleep.
No,
Yeah.
so there's a reason why other countries live longer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, there's like a study done. If you take a nap every day, like it reduces like heart failure, like those type of diseases
Yeah.
by like 30%. Like,
I could see that.
yeah.
Slow things down.
Yeah, you have to slow things down.
Myself a pillow.
Yeah.
No, go take it like every day under your desk, like no shame. I think that
Close your eyes.
close your eyes.
Yeah.
Take a nap.
That's great advice right there. You gonna try that?
Yeah, when you walk by.
All right. I'm
And no,
looking for it.
listen, we need to judge people less for that. Honestly.
Yes, amen.
I could see Sean like coming barging in my office
Yeah.
thinking I'm like dead or something.
No, like the grind. I feel like grind culture is like a sham.
I do
You
too.
need to take naps.
Yeah. Take naps and you end up thinking, okay, well that's 15 minutes, but you end up becoming more productive
it
throughout
will
the day.
get you more energy than
Yeah.
bucked up.
Yeah.
Actually,
That's saying
there's
a lot.
challenge. Cut your energy drinks out and do a nap
A
instead.
nap instead.
I'm with her.
Yeah.
You know how long ago I cut energy drinks?
Do a power nap now.
Now you would be unstoppable. You do this.
It will change your life.
Well, we'll give you, maybe final word here. Obviously,
Yeah.
we just parting words to our audience, Tax Hive business owners.
I think the biggest thing is like don't try to do it alone. I've been so lucky to have like Sean and so many incredible people like a part of my tribe. Is like find your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. I don't
Yeah.
think we're meant to do it alone. So if you're building or doing something, like lean in on the community that's there and available to you. So
Absolutely.
I'm a big believer that there's no self-made people.
no.
Everyone in history that's the greatest empire builders, they did it with relationships.
Find your Tarzan.
Find your Tarzan. There you go.
Next time we're gonna have Tarzan on the show.
I know
Let's
you
let's get him.
You can sub me out. It'll be only the full heads of hair.
We will get a lot of views because of his hair.
You will. You will.
Lindsey, it's been an honor,
an honor.
and a privilege to
Thanks
have
so
you
much,
with us.
Lindsey.
And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of the Hive. And again, thank you, Lindsey. Appreciate
Thank
it.
Let's do a picture.